I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
We are talking today about the much anticipated release of The Predator. And it's box office stats will show how anticipated people were waiting for this.
We did our non-spoiler. Yeah, so we're going to talk about spoilers here, but as usual, we'll give some box office numbers and scores and other bullshit that no one really gives a shit about. Take it away, Shane.
Yeah, exactly, to fill some time. So, The Predator 2018 currently sits at a whopping $26 million domestically, $30 million foreign, for a worldwide box office of $56 million. The estimated production budget is $88 million. So far, not doing all that great. However, it hasn't. I think the worldwide release date was a week later. Am I correct by that?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. All right. I thought it was the worldwide wasn't until this week, but maybe that doesn't make sense. I don't know, but not looking all that great. For some comparison's sake, when you look at Box Office Mojo, I found this kind of interesting. Not adjusted for ticket price inflation, The Predator still at the bottom for worldwide. Alien vs. Predator tops it, 172 million. Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, 128 million. Then Predators, then Predator, then Predator 2. Obviously, that's unadjusted. If you adjust it for ticket price inflation, Predator is at the top domestically, 141 million. So that's pretty telling, I guess. People not stoked about The Predator.
Well, you can tell by the trailers alone. So I guess let's just talk about the movie itself. Or you? Oh wait,
yeah,
you got Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. Who gives a shit? If anyone was curious, tomato meter 34%.
Oh, okay. I actually was curious. I wasn't sure where the hell it was even at. I never even looked.
I wasn't too surprised based on a lot of the things that I've been hearing and seeing. 34%, 5.1 out of 10 average rating. The audience score actually 50%.
The Predator 34, right? You said?
Yeah.
Still better than Batman versus Superman.
I don't think the system works.
Wow. Great point.
Did that just mind fuck you a little?
Yeah. Holy shit. That's brutal. Yeah, because Rotten Tomato, I don't even know why we still talk about them. I don't know. I just bring it up for fun because it's, like you said, I'm curious where it lands. 6.1 out of 10 for IMDb.
All right, so let's get into some spoilers. All spoilers, I'm not holding anything back. Really not much to spoil about this movie. It's pretty incoherent for the most part. I actually went back to an old video that I watched a long time ago, and it was basically there was a leaked script for this movie, and the script was a legit script. Now that we see the movie, it was pretty much what we saw for the most part. There is some major changes because of those major reshoots, and there was complete characters and sequences taken out of this. I'm really surprised that more people, I guess it's just because it didn't do well and it's just not, I guess, the franchise to talk about, but this literally is almost another Justice League. If you do a little bit of the research on it, it's almost another Justice League. Like, they completely wiped out characters that we never even saw. There was actually supposed to be another antagonist human guy that was running a facility where there was multiple predators that he had under, like, they were like good guy predators and shit. Like, he had another facility and shit like that, or something like that. It was a whole different character. 20 minutes or so of the movie, he was supposed to be in charge of all this nefarious shit, and they completely cut him out. They completely removed him from the storyline in general, and they removed those predators from the movie line as well, from the storyline as well. Like, they removed so much. And then I was going back to this old script, and just something, now it makes sense when I went back to it. Because, you see the ending of this movie, and you see this, like, the Predator killer weapon. And I'm like, okay, this is stupid. Because this pod 1 is body-shaped. Why is a little weapon coming out? And two, the guy in the Predator armor thing at the end there, it doesn't look very good. So you could tell it felt like it was last minute. Like it looks like shit. And it turns out it makes more sense now. Because I was always wondering this after we left with the movie. But that little wrist gauntlet thing where the kid is playing with it and he's typing in the stuff and he's messing with the Predator language and everything. And at one point the dad says, well, let's give him back what he wants. And he tries to hand the traitor Predator this thing. And he grabs it. And then he gets grabbed by the Super Predator, right? That was the main thing. That was the thing that he brought to Earth. This whole adding the Super Predator killer weapon thing was total reshoot. That thing was the focus in the original script. That was because it held all the DNA. It was like the codex of the Predator franchise. It had all this DNA and all the sequences for the hybridization that the other one went through and all the technology and everything. It was like the codex, if you want to use a Man of Steel reference. And yeah, and it makes more sense now because that thing completely disappears after that. You never see that little wrist gauntlet thing brought up ever again. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense now. It makes complete sense now. This movie was so butchered and so changed. And I don't know if I feel bad for Shane Black or not for it. Because what he originally wanted. And he still gave us Iron Man 3, so maybe this is just karma. I don't know. But it just, yeah, it kind of sucks that they completely altered things up like this. I mean, it's just one of the things that I realized. I was following this movie kind of heavily going into it because I was worried about what it was going to be, and I was following all these different websites and shit on it. And yeah, and I went back to some of those, and now I remember, and now I've seen the movie, I can put it all together.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it does suck that regardless of if it's Shane Black or whoever, when a director has a specific vision,
right,
or writers, and they have a script that they kind of put together, and then for one reason or another things get changed, and then there's reshoots. It seems to be something that right now is just plaguing studios and is not panning out in the positive way. They should just go with gut instinct, just go with, okay, let's go ahead with the director and whatever he wants to do, and and maybe he discusses it, he pitches it and says, this is what I want to do. Obviously they got to a certain point and then someone hit the panic button on this one as well. So I think from what I've been seeing, a lot of the reactions, and this is something that I wish I could have brought up in the non-spoiler, but a lot of the reactions they're a little over the top, like, oh, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. To me, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's enjoyable. There's some of the humor that is along the lines of Deadpool, which I found kind of funny. Not a whole lot of it. I'd say half, maybe a little bit less, actually landed. But it's, the killing is pretty cool. It's very simplistic. I wouldn't say it's the worst movie that I've ever seen. But that being said, and it kind of sounds like they were going to go into more detail, and that's a huge disappointment because that's honestly what I was expecting. I was kind of thinking this was going to be like an Alien Covenant, Prometheus type film where they start getting into more of the origin and things of the Predator, and it being a sequel. I knew it wasn't a prequel movie like those ones, but I was expecting more. I was expecting more depth, more of like a sci-fi type film, less of like an action. It's very similar, I guess, to Alien versus Predator, or what is it, Freddy versus Jason, where there's just some killing and two villains fighting each other kind of thing, and you're just like, oh, this is cool, but nothing too crazy, nothing too in depth. And I think that was the biggest disappointment for me.
It was a mindless action movie for the most part, with a lot of rated R comedy thrown in it. I could go through all the issues I have with it. I mean, again, the Olivia Munn character is just ridiculous. She's just so fucking she is just so over the top. It's like she was supposed to embody like 4 different characters. I feel like she just went from point A to point B to point C to point D to point Z so fast. Like when she's sprinting with the Predator with the tranq gun, and I'm like, she's keeping up with this thing. So they're making this Predator extremely slow. And then she's like jumps on the truck, and then she jumps on other shit. She's bombing the Predator, the Predator spaceship with a grenade launcher, which all of a sudden now a Predator ship is like made of paper mache. Because I remember those fucking planes were trying to take it down with missiles. Nothing was happening. I guess it had a shield up at the time, but then she just launches a grenade launcher that's mounted to a AR-15. Boom, wrecks like the engine and shit. One dude just flies into a motor that fucking wipes the ship out. It's like, man, like this. I doubt fucking a Predator ship is running on like a turbine system. It's got to be like an anti-gravity type thing. Like, it was just stupid. It was like,
right.
It was just like, it just drove me nuts. Like, the whole ending drove me nuts. But she, in general, was just insane. But she did make me laugh because when she did shoot herself in the foot with the dart, I kind of looked over at you and I was just like, this reminds me of old school. Like, dude, you got a dart in your foot. Like, and then like, I expected
right.
her to start running like Ace Ventura when he gets all the fucking darts in him and shit, and like it's just running.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 3 darts is too much. And then fucking falls. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That was kind of an eye rolling moment for me with Olivia Munn's character. I actually, and we talked about this in the non spoiler. I felt that if her origin was different, then it works. Then a lot of things work. If she has a military background. Maybe specializes in biology or something to that effect, then it works. Yeah, it's still a little over the top. The whole fucking movie was kind of like that, but it works a little bit better than her just being able to do all of this shit and be a badass and she's not. And so it just there were some. I don't know if they maybe had one plan for her character and then they just decided to change it, and so that's where some of the inconsistencies were. I don't know. It was weird. There were like glimmers of hope, kind of sprinkled throughout the movie, but nothing that they really touched on in further detail. And one of the things also that, going back to kind of wishing that there was more detail, I did end up finding out that it's a sequel to pretty much all of the movies. Like, they are considering all of them canon based on some of the references in the movie. I couldn't find anything on Shane Black confirming, yeah, this is all of them are canon and this is equal to all of them, but that's what a lot of the cast were saying. So with that, I'm shocked that they didn't establish some sort of timeline where this one falls. Again, more detail, more origin in the Predator.
Maybe it all made more sense in the original Black version. I don't know. We'd have to...
Yeah, it could be. Again, more crazy speculation when shit gets, sliced and diced. Like the Predator.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of annoyed me about this movie is that this hybrid predator, this ultimate hunting machine you would suspect, basically by the end of the movie turned into a regular like horror villain, like unstoppable horror villain. Yeah. Like he didn't even feel like a predator. He was just something that could walk through everything and kill people. Slash them up. Like, it wasn't any stalking, any camouflaging, really. Like, every once in a while did, and he just walked through everybody and just fucking them up, It didn't feel like a Predator movie anymore. I didn't feel the suspense. There was, like, almost no suspense. Everything was broken up by a joke in some manner. Or really quick cuts. Just really fucking fast cuts.
So. That was annoying. I don't understand. I get that we know what the Predator looks like. I get that. It's different than the original Predator. But even when you go back and you watch the original Predator movie and you already know what the Predator looks like, they still do such a fantastic job at building suspense and utilizing that. We don't really know, had they not pulled a fucking Doomsday and thrown in the Super Predator, we may have been curious of what the fuck is going on. You could have had some suspense with that. No, they did not. They didn't have anything. Nothing of teasing. Everything was broken up with a joke. And that was annoying and frustrating as hell.
Yeah, the plot holes continue, like when they're talking about why the Predators would come here. They're trying to say this one is trying to bring us a present, but yet it's helping humanity, but it's murdering the shit out of people. That makes no fucking sense. Like I said, I believe it wasn't here to. Like I said, that wasn't the original concept. The original concept was it's here for a different reason. It's not here to help humanity. So that whole dialogue just sounds stupid when it's just murdering the fuck out of people. They kept all that, But but then like, and they're just using global warming. Oh, we're only gonna survive 1 to 2 generations. What?
Oh my gosh!
I was like,
yeah.
Wow, 1 to 2 generations. That's all we got. That is some fucking hyper climate change. Because you guys look fine right now. I mean, some of you guys are wearing long sleeve shirts and shit. Like, it's just wow. That's some hyper climate change. And apparently they like tropical settings. Even though apparently, according to you, if they're gonna allow AVP in there, I mean, they did fine in the Arctic. I don't know.
Right.
It was just stupid things like that. I mean, that there's the kid who I thought at first, when I was first seeing it, I thought this kid is completely useless. This is ridiculous. Why? This could have been anybody. It didn't need to be this kid. But then, like, later on, it kind of makes more sense because of his abilities or disability, however you want to look at it. Him on the spectrum. He's able to crack and understand the Predator language and actually work their technology. So I can kind of see now he is an asset. He actually kind of does belong in the movie for the most part. I did like the fact that he murdered a guy and just kind of walked away from it and punked those little kids. I still think he should have killed those kids. Like, if they really wanted to fucking... It's an R rated movie. So fuck it. It's an R-rated movie.
Oh man, the bullies? That would have been fucking great.
Say, like, do a one-liner, like stick it around and fucking boom! And just blow them up. Or like, kidding. Asperger's this or something. And just wipe those fuckers out. It was...
Eat this Asperger, whatever the fuck. Boom.
They should have just pulled the trigger on that one, literally, and just fucking wiped those kids out. That would have been great. I would have really believed in your rated R movie then.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was one of the things that they only touched on just a little bit that I thought was a pretty cool concept. I could see it coming from a mile away, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought that worked pretty well with the kid, and then McKenna, the dad. I thought their relationship was kind of cool. The brief emotional kind of connection that they had, where, you know, he feels like because of who he is, he let his dad down. And I thought that was pretty cool. Again, only touched on just a little bit, just briefly. And then even how Olivia Munn's character was talking about, the next step in the evolution, you know, is like these people, it's not a disability. They are actually incredibly intelligent. It's the next step in evolution. I thought that was intriguing. I would have liked to see where they were going with it. But that would have been, I think, a positive for me, in addition to some of the humor worked.
Yeah, the only flaw in that whole thing was that they were saying not only were they ripping the skulls and the spine out of the people that they wanted to for trophies, but also to get their DNA for the hybridization. That's why you were seeing spinal fluid and some of the stuff. So instead of actually capturing the kid, technically the hybrid predator should just rip the spine out of the kid.
Yeah, good point.
I like the pause. Just the image here.
Yeah, I was like,
It's true, though, because that's what they were saying. They were saying they were doing that. There was no reason to keep the kid alive. There was no reason for him to keep the kid alive. He basically should have just finish him, like, and just done it. But, you know, that's just another plot hole, another thing. The ending, I just want to talk about that ending real quick. Them all jumping on the spaceship, and then, like, one guy gets underneath the shield, which I guess protected him. Like, it just has a good enough human size gap between the ship and the shield. So if like a fat guy like me or something did that, I'd probably lose about 40 pounds. Probably when the shield came over and right off and stuff like that. You can't have a belly if you do it. And then the guy loses his legs. It's like all these kind of like commandos they built up, except for two of them. All the other ones just seem to die in such bitch ways. Like, the one dude gets his legs cut off on the ship and just flies off into a turbine, or flies off somewhere, just falls off the thing. The other guy just will, because he's choking, because they're getting altitude. I think that's what it was, or he's bleeding out of his, or whatever. Yeah. He just like, fuck it, and suicide dives right into the turbine.
Well, and he wanted to die anyways. That's why he flips off McKenna.
Right. And it's just kind of like, well, you know, instead of like in the original Predator, all these guys kind of had like, I mean, not the badass endings, but they died to the Predator. Like, these other guys didn't. Right. Technically, the other two didn't die. They shot themselves, which actually I did think would be funny if they missed.
I'm surprised they didn't do that. I really am. I know we're going a little long on this, but I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I thought was poorly done was the use of nostalgia aside from the music.
Oh, God.
We talk about it in the non-spoiler. I enjoyed the music. I thought it worked. They utilized that pretty well, but the use of nostalgia was horrible. And as soon as McKenna meets all of these guys, and you kind of know from the trailers that most of them exist anyways, and then they establish, oh, they're going to be a pretty big part of the plot. I thought to myself, they all better die, because that's exactly what happens in the original. And I know maybe I'm getting too hooked on nostalgia, and that's what happens. But like you said, it's so poorly done. Like in the original, everyone dies in such a badass way, in such like, no, I'm gonna go after this thing. And these were like the guy who gets his legs chopped off and bleeds out. Why the fuck are you shooting a shield, thinking it's gonna stop? That's just so lazy. That's such lazy writing of like, oh yeah, I think this will be cool. That to me, that's just so stupid. And most of like the lines that they were trying to reincorporate, or, oh, that's one beautiful motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or,
just out of
get to
nowhere.
the chopper. Like, yeah, it was that. And then they had a reference to like one of the scientists was a kid, I want to say, of one of the scientists from the
Gary
second
Busey
one.
From the second.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was just kind of glossed over a little bit. It just, if you're going to incorporate nostalgia, you need to do a better job at incorporating it. And aside from maybe the theme music, that was probably it.
The get to the chopper one was the most infuriating one to me, because they literally say, get to the chopper. They run and come back with motorcycles. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that felt like, that was either
chopper
a reshoot.
bikes, I guess.
That's possible. I didn't think of that. I guess that's possible. But it was like, it really annoyed me. That one really annoyed me. The Predator dogs were terrible, and that was just more sad than anything. Like, I didn't need to see a retarded Predator dog that was basically lobotomized into a regular dog or whatever. I guess it was. I guess you neutralize its what the fuck was that be from Waterboy? The medulla oblongata, the aggressive side. But mama say gators are angry because they got other than teeth, but no toothbrush.
Oh fuck!
Like that's like what they did, and it just seems to it's like the most convenient thing. It just pops up. It just catches up to these people just so easily. Like they're just across the area. They take a helicopter out of the area completely to the other whatever, and the dog's still there. Same thing with Olivia Munn when that ship was flying and then crashes. Like somehow out of nowhere, she catches up to them. She knows exactly where they are, and she's able to jumps on the Predator and starts attacking him. I'm like, what the fuck? It was just, I don't know. It was dumb. I will say real quick, my favorite joke was the one by, I believe his name is Keenan Peele. I believe there's Key and Peele, but Keenan Peele, I believe his name is.
Keegan
Peele, okay.
Yeah, Keegan. Yeah. No, it's Keegan-Michael Key is his name.
Okay,
and the show is on Key and Peele.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, he's talking shit about the other guy, and he's like, what's the difference between 5 big black men and a joke? Whatever the hell that soldier's name is, Mama can't take a joke. That was probably the funniest line. That one fucking killed me. That one really made me laugh. That was really good.
Yeah. So yeah, there were a couple that were peppered in there, pretty solid.
All right, so I say after this kind of pretty much a disappointing movie, let's talk about a score.
Yes. So, to me, I think this will be something that I'll probably watch again if it's on FX or Fox or maybe
Ballsy.
even HBO or something. I'd probably what?
I said, wow, ballsy. I would never watch this again.
No? Okay.
I might find the YouTube clip of him making that joke about the 5 big black men. Like, I might find like a couple of those things, but I wouldn't watch it again.
It's like Freddy versus Jason. If that movie's on, it's not very good, but I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'll have this on in the background, kind of FX type movie. What do they call that? Like FX movie night or whatever bullshit. I might have it on there, so I'm gonna give it a 2.7.
Oh, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
A 2 out of 5. All right.
It did better than Iron Man, but Like I said, some jokes work, some things work, but there's just so obviously reshoots completely butchered this movie. The studio didn't like the direction. Test screenings didn't do well. Whether or not Shane Black's actual version would be worth the shit at all, I don't know. But it still sounded kind of awkward and weird. But it just didn't fit right. It just didn't fit in the Predator universe. And we're probably not going to get it. Now that Disney owns Fox, we're probably never going to get another Predator movie for quite a long time. So, well, that was the other thing.
Swing and a miss.
That was the other thing, too. The stupid argument over the name, Predator. And like the way that guy was talking, it's a predator. Well, really, it's actually a hunter. That was just, and I get it. I get the joke that, originally the original Predator was going to be called Hunter. I get the joke, but it's still stupid. Still really dumb how they argued about it. Anyway, So that's my score. I'm sticking to it. I'll probably never watch it again other than maybe YouTube scenes of some of the funny jokes. So in case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. All these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.